Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Smile. Today's guest is Gabby Williamson. Gabby is a country town girl turned Melbourne creative who's earned the degrees, travelled the world, and built a successful career in marketing and events. But after decades of substance abuse and years of mental health struggles, life unravelled in early 2022. A twist of fate that landed her in rehab at 39 and changed everything she thought she knew about herself. Now in recovery, Gabby's learning what resilience and connection are really like and starting over at 40 with love in her heart, laughs in her belly, and her beloved ragdoll cat dog, Alfie, by her side. Alfie is kind of like a cat dog, isn't he?
He is.
Now, I've had the absolute joy of knowing Gabby and calling her a friend over the last 3.5 years. And I feel like this conversation is so well overdue.
It
So
is.
without any further delay, Gabby, welcome to Behind the Smile. How are you today?
Hello, Ash. That is so funny. And I just want to say thank you, ChatGPT, for helping me write that bio because I'm not a writer. But yeah, it sums it up. I'm really good. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
As you said, long overdue. And, you're one of my closest friends. So I'm feeling comfortable. And I've got little Frank down here somewhere.
Which
So,
he'll no doubt be on your lap at some stage throughout the conversation.
yeah, exactly. So I'm fine. I'm all good.
That's awesome. Now, for long-time listeners, you may recognize Gabby's voice because Gabs did join me on the podcast with our friend Mitch
Mm,
a while ago now, almost 2.5 years ago,
yeah.
which is crazy to think. And so much has happened since then. But that was a very different kind of episode. We were talking about our rehab stories in
Yeah.
that episode, whereas today I think we're going to go a lot more deep into your story and your transformation, which I'm really excited about.
It's so funny because I was thinking about recording that episode this morning and it's like, wow, that was when we were doing that. It was all about like, what is rehab? And I'd just been in Malvern and, and we'll talk about like I've since been into South Pacific, which is where you and Mitch were talking about as well at that time. I ended up there at 18 months to work on my mental health, but it blows my mind how quickly time's gone.
I know, and just how much has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild. It's wild. Okay, let's not give it all away just to be. I want to start with some really nice, easy questions, Gabs, to allow our audience to get to know you a little bit better. So, can we kick it off with where do you live? What does an average day look like? And what do you do for fun?
It's so funny because again, I was thinking about these three questions because I know that you ask them at the start of every episode. And look, I live at the moment. I live in South Melbourne, so inner city. I've been there for about 8 years. I've been in Melbourne for about 25 years. I moved up here when I finished high school. I'm originally from a small town in northwest Victoria. So shout out to all my Mallee listeners, if there's any Mallee listeners out there, country kids. That's where I was born and bred. What is my average day look like? I don't have an average day. And I was like, oh my gosh, this. And then my head started spiraling when I was thinking about this because I'm like, I have to get more structure in my routine and I have to be doing
The inner critic.
always. But I thought like I've sort of got an average week. So my average day does always kick off. I have basically a morning routine that I do every morning. So I'll get up, I chat to Alfie. Sometimes I accidentally kick him as the alarm goes off because he sleeps on bed with me, which I always feel really bad about. I make my decaf coffee and
Are you drinking decaf now?
in the morning, yeah, yeah,
Oh, we got to okay.
yeah, my first coffee of the day.
Right.
So I
That's
real,
genius.
yeah,
Because then you're not getting that cortisol spike, right?
yeah, and I found because I really like to be able to sit, meditate, and talk to God. That we can get into that, but my higher power, and I just talk to the universe, and then I like to do my gratitudes. And I found that like I knew what was happening as soon as I was putting a coffee in without even waking up naturally, but I just wasn't connected and grounded, and I just knew that that just started off my day. I was already in that like motion of like, I've got to get, got to go, got to go. And I find it really, really hard to slow that down.
That
And that's
is
something that helps.
It is genius. Like let's just pause on this for a moment.
It's a
Because
genius.
I had not thought of this. I was chatting to our mutual friend Phil yesterday. He was here yesterday morning. And I was telling him, because I had a coffee in my hand, I said, do you want a coffee? It was about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I haven't done my morning routine yet. I'm in a bit of a bad habit right now where I'm choosing to have a coffee before I meditate, pray. And once I have that coffee, the noise inside my head gets louder.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
not necessarily even negative, but it's thinking about the day and what I need to do, and it disconnects me from that source.
Yeah.
And I feel like meditating after a coffee for me feels a little bit redundant. Like it just doesn't.
Well, I can't stop moving and I
Mm.
can't, I'm already like, I have, I don't know, we'll go into this, but like I very much have like these stims, like I have to move all the time. And you'll probably see me if you're watching me on camera, I will move around a lot and, adjust and whatever. But that for me, yeah, it just stops that because I'm already waking up with
Well, you
a crazy, like I'm already on, like I have a song in my head as soon as I open my eyes, there's a song going. Like, so I have to be really careful with what I've listened to the day before or the night before. Like
yeah.
if I've scrolled TikTok late at night and I will wake
Dangerous.
up with that TikTok song in my head, like,
Yeah.
so I have to be really mindful of those things as well. But yeah, my morning routine is an absolute non-negotiable. And sometimes that's 5 minutes, sometimes that's half an hour, sometimes it's an hour. But I try and get it to that, like an average is about 20, 25 minutes where I'll try and sit out on the balcony and do that stuff.
Mm.
And then I kick off my day. But I work 3 days a week now. So I currently work in the office in Richmond a couple of days a week. I work from home 1 day a week. And that's pretty structured because, I'm getting up, I do my morning routine, I go into work and then I come home and I'll kick back. And then the days I have off, like they're full. Like I'm always doing things, which is great. And I've got a creative project on the go at the moment. And yeah, I'm still adjusting to that life of work and balance. And I know there's no such thing as work-life balance, but for me, I get burnt out really, really easily. And I'm trying to learn without like what is laziness and what can I actually be doing versus what I actually need. And we'll talk about that at the end when I like what are my three non-negotiables for how I live my life today. There's parts of that there. So yeah, and I spend a lot of time. I try and go and see my parents once a week, and spend time with them. They've now moved up to Melbourne. That's a big part of my week. And yeah, then nighttime. My nighttime routine's really terrible. That's true. As I said, that scroll. I definitely got those side addictions coming out sideways, and I'm a big Netflix binge. Like
What's going on Netflix at the moment?
everything and anything. Like I'm there hanging out. I just saw the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills promo this morning, and I was like, yes, December.
For me, that's Love Island.
So it's
I
one thing I haven't got into is
I
Love Island.
I know. I am a sucker for love. Actually, it's not any reality TV. I'm quite specific, but yeah, Love Island every season.
Did you ever get into Love is Blind?
No.
That's great.
Okay. All right.
It's
Add it to the
great.
list.
Yeah, and like it's funny because it's like too hot to handle. Anyway, we could talk about TV all day. Sometimes I feel like I should have a TV podcast because I watch so much of it. But anyway, so rambling here, but
What do you
yes,
do for
so that's
fun?
what do I do for fun? So I love going to concerts, dancing. That is my absolute most fun, favorite thing to do, and I love doing it. Not sure when this is coming out, but a couple of weeks ago I went to Fridays with a normie mate.
Tell people what Fridays is for
Okay.
those who don't know.
So Fridays is like it's my inner 20-year-old's dream. So it was who started it? It was Jordan Sparks, Eve, Tiny Temper, Little John, like get low, get low. I was in my element. Little
Is
John,
that
Wiz
to the window?
Khalifa. Yeah, I've got a video of him doing it. It's hilarious. Then we had he wasn't the headliner, but Pitbull, he was an amazing entertainer. And then Mariah Carey. So it was like, it was just the best fun. And
How was Mariah?
she was good. I was so happy to see her because I've been a fan forever, but I'm certainly not one of I learnt about the Mimi fans. They're like,
Oh,
that's what they call her, Mimi, Mimi.
yes.
And they were the ones right up the front, like full,
Having a
crying
yeah.
and stuff like that. That's not me. But, hearing the track like Fantasy, taking me back to year 7 and doing dances with friends, like, and there is talks of her that she's got fibromyalgia or something like that. And it did look like she was on maybe some pain medication. She was a bit stiff, but I think bloody good on her. Get out there.
It's amazing how you can have a different lens and one of compassion. Like I saw
Yes.
her get absolutely slammed on socials, and I just thought to myself, like, give the woman a break.
100%.
Like,
Yeah, 100%. And also the whole thing about the lip syncing, it's like she's got a backing track on.
mm,
Like, isn't that just 101, like, concerts like that?
totally.
And, someone just happened to catch her when she stopped and whatever.
Mm,
But I think she was singing. I do think she was singing.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was so much fun. But oh my God, like they had breaks in between every artist and we would be doing our stretches and like sitting down. Like you just, we were just like, we're just going to own this. And like we weren't the only ones
Of
because it was just such
course.
a variety of age groups.
Like millennials,
Oh,
right?
and I went to Dom Dollar, my first rave in recovery at the end of last year. And that was the same. Like I was just doing stretch. I was right up the front and like all these people off their heads.
Yeah.
And like I was there doing my stretches, my hands on my hips.
Let's talk about this for a second because I remember when you bought the tickets,
Yeah.
how excited you were, how nervous you
Yeah.
were. And you are somebody that has really not allowed the fact that you don't drink alcohol to stop you from doing the things you love. Can you share a little bit more about, the
Yeah.
trepidation, the experience when you were there and how you felt after?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's so cool. So when I first came into recovery, I had tickets to Rufus, and Rufus are coming again this year. I'm on the wait list, but anyway, side note. But I had tickets to Rufus and I sold my ticket and I was devastated.
Because it was too soon?
It was too soon. It was like I was probably about 5 or 6 months clean and sober. And I was really in that headspace. And I still do live to this. Like if it's not a hell yes, I'll be fine, it's a no.
It's a stark
And
no.
yeah, it's a no. And like I was really adamant because I came back after a blip, a relapse, that I wasn't going to do anything to, jeopardize
Jeopardize.
my recovery. And I was gutted. And I sold that ticket. And I remember being like, it was fetal position in the bed, crying, FOMO. So to get to come back around and hopefully, fingers crossed, if anyone's selling a ticket to Rufus and this comes out
Two.
time.
If anyone's selling
Two, yeah.
tickets.
I've got us on the wait list. So GA, I want GA, but that is really pushing it. But when Dom Dollar came up and they were doing a surprise gig at the Woolshed in Footscray, which is in a Melbourne suburb, and he was doing a back-to-back with another DJ that I like. Wouldn't say love, but I like, Solomon. And I put it out on social, said, does anyone want to come? And no one came back. And I was like, I really have this motto now. It's like, if it's something I really want to do, buy the ticket, go and do that thing, like YOLO. And then I had a normie friend who I hadn't spoken to for 20 odd years message me and say, I want to come. And we sort of connected. I was like, great. And she's like, is it okay if I drink? I'm like, yeah, whatever, do whatever you want to do. But anyway, she fell through and I bought the ticket and I was really excited. And then I was like, oh, I haven't been around drugs in my face in recovery. And I was more than 2 years, like 2.5, 2.75 years. I was like, I haven't been around drugs. And I was like, I think I'll be right. I'll be fine. But there was still that inner monologue of like, what happens if someone passes you something? What are you going to do? Like, which is just that real fear coming up and not trusting where I am in my recovery, my program, the support I have, the conversations I can have with people before I go, the protections I can put in. And so I remember, having a chat to you and it's just like, well, I'm driving. If I get in there and I'm too overstimulated, because that was the other thing, lights, music, small environment, very ravey, very, very ravey, I can walk out and get in the car again. And like that was I had a light bulb moment at that time and it was just like, yeah, I have the freedom to do whatever I want to do. I don't have to stay somewhere if I'm uncomfortable, if I feel at risk. I have full control and autonomy over my body and what I do, and I can walk out. So there was fear because I was going on my own and I was like, oh, it's a bit sad I don't get to experience it with someone else. But I got there, I did a check-in before I went in. I was like, all right, here we go. And I got right up the front and it took me a little bit to warm up. So I was doing like the dance, like I was going like this, I was doing like my millennial dance. And this person beside me was like, oh, and then started, and I was like, oh my God, they're teasing me about my dancing. They're teasing me about my dancing.
No.
And then I realized later on that is Dom's signature move. So he's doing this all night.
Yeah.
I just thought I was doing that. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is just like, That's just the millennial dad.
This is just what we did back in
So
the
I
2000s.
had the best time. And then by three, it was a 4.5 hour gig. By 3.5 hours, I was knackered. It had gone, the sunset had come through. It was beautiful, like, yeah, the sun was coming through all the big windows in the woolshed. And then 3.5 hours, like, I could really see people getting really gacked. They were just doing the gear all around me. That was fine. I was really
Describe what
excited.
that look for somebody who doesn't, because gacked is
Oh,
also such a millennial term.
is it?
What is, yeah, like I don't think they say it these days. Well, no, but I love it. What a word.
Gacked.
What does it look like when someone's gacked?
When someone's gacked. They're just like,
The jaw,
oh yeah, the
the
jaw, and just
eyes.
like people sitting around the outskirts of the dance floor, just like zombies, just gross. And just, yeah, it's just, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I kind of like visualize it's like when people are like really intense and their jaws either like swaying or
Yeah,
it's like really tight and fixed and the eyes like the
the eyes,
pupils
it's the
and
eyes.
yeah, it's like you become a little bit possessed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's a
Mm.
possession. And like, yeah, especially like nowadays, I don't know how much we can talk about this stuff, but I'm just going to go for it. You can. But
Say whatever you want.
I still follow a lot of DJs and I still love that scene because I love the music and I love the connection that sort of stuff brings. But the drugs as well that are in the scene at the moment, like ketamine is a huge one, and it's a horse tranquilizer. That's
GHB, isn't it?
literally what, and GHB,
Yeah.
and that's what that stuff does is it just knocks you out. And like I've heard a lot of old promoters and people that used to be massive in the club scene in the early 2000s that are just like it's so different now. Like people don't dance. I noticed that.
Really?
They're either on their phones, and this was
Yeah, I
prime.
hate that.
They say this is like the difference between like the followers and the sort of genuines. Like
Yeah.
no diss, like go. I like everyone should experience and those types of events, but you're either doing it to get the footage for social media to get the likes.
Do you know I had this realization? I was at Teddy Swims with Mum a couple of weeks ago, and it was at Rod Laver, and we had really great seats kind of off to the side, so we could see the stage
Yeah.
and everything. But I was looking straight down at the pit, the
Yeah.
Marshall GA, and I swear to you, the opening scene as the lights go up, all you could see was people with mobile phones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, put your phones down. He's right there in front of you. The footage that
Yeah.
you're getting right now is shit.
Yeah.
You're never going to watch it back.
Yeah.
You're like, what? You'll chuck it up on a story off for Instagram. Like,
100%.
and nobody even enjoys watching that footage because it's shit.
Yeah.
Like just put the phone down.
Yeah.
And I say that, and it probably sounds judgy. I have been that person. Like,
Yeah.
trust me on that.
Yeah.
And it's just a realization that I've had in more recent times where I'm like, if I'm at a concert, like I want to be fully 100% present
In there. Yeah.
here, watching that artist. Like, my little iPhone ain't gonna like just go watch them on
Yeah.
YouTube. Like, if that's the experience you want, I don't know.
No, totally. I think it goes back to that nostalgia of times without phones. Like I've gone really deep on this because like I am on that cusp, like I'm 42 now, and like I grew up without phones and without internet, and that stuff, it's so different. So not only is it the drugs in the club scene, but it's the phones and it's
Can I tell you the other one that I realized is so millennial? People that film themselves at a concert and the video is just them singing the song. And I'm like,
taking a drink of water there. I don't want to spit it out.
like nobody wants to see you. Like at least if you're going to film the concert, film the artist.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Singing the song.
My favorite videos are the ones where someone's videoing and they're singing at the top of their lungs, but they notice and like their caption will be like, "Oh my God, like my sorry about my singing or whatever."
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's like all the Taylor Swift videos that came, like you and I both went to take. The videos that came back of people just like screaming at the top of their lungs. You just miss the whole experience.
so funny.
I get it though. I get it.
And Taylor Swift was another one where I think I took a couple of videos and I just put my phone away because I wanted to, experience it. So dancing for me,
Yeah.
getting out, like being in that environment, And the blessing, yeah, about going to that dom was when I could see those people and it was just like, oh, this is yuck. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm just gonna go home. I just
Yeah.
walked up, jumped in the car, got some Maccas on the way home, I think, and went to bed, had a shower, went to
Mm,
bed. It's like,
mhm,
how good is that?
mm.
So good. I was in bed by 11, and I was physically tired,
Yeah.
and my head was fine. So it was like there's
How
no racing.
how good is it being able to experience something and it's not at the cost of. So what I mean by that is, I used to like
Mm,
go to the races, but
mm,
it would mean that the next day was a write off.
mm.
I would have these experiences, but it meant that I was no good for the rest of that day. I was
Yeah,
no good for the day after, and I was probably at about 50% for the week to follow.
yeah,
It reminds me of after we did our civil ceremony when we got married, my partner and I, well, Damo, um, we we actually ended up. So we went for lunch with our families,
yeah,
and then we came home, and then we went to the post office.
yeah.
We went to the pharmacy. Really normal. So I had my hair and makeup done. I'd put some trackies on because we were flying out to Europe that
Yeah,
night. But I was just, again, I was like, it sounds so ridiculous, but there's something so cool about being able to still be present and do life things and be like,
I just imagine you rocking up to the pharmacy in the post office in your full glam.
literally, I had to go back twice because it wasn't open. Anyway, it just makes me laugh. All right. Okay.
Oh, it's funny because I want to ask you questions about that, but it's fine. Do you find
for it.
how did you find doing something like that and then not having the like drinks? Because I know you and I have talked about like when Damo proposed, it's like, what do we do now? What's the next thing?
Mhm.
Like, is that a strange, like, yeah,
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that I would be lying if I said that there wasn't a part of my brain that went, a drink would make this better.
yeah,
And I think it's that whole idea of wanting to make the high higher,
yeah,
which is
totally
very kind
understand
of
that.
addict behavior.
Yeah,
But because I work a program, because I'm in recovery, I'm able to play the tape forward. And I realize pretty quickly that it's never just one drink for
yeah,
me.
yeah,
And so, sure, that glass of champagne, it was actually particularly not so much the civil ceremony, I think, because our families were there. But when I was getting ready on the morning of the elopement in Italy,
yeah,
I was drinking a glass of non-alcoholic champagne. And in my head, I was like, it'd be so nice if this was the
yeah,
real stuff.
yeah,
But the reality is, I did that on my first wedding.
yeah,
I got,
yeah,
I was drunk the night before
yeah.
and high. I was hungover that morning. I was drinking Cristal by 9 a.m. And I don't remember much of
Yeah.
it.
It's
Like it's
such a
all a bit of a
funny thing.
blur.
It's like it's that whole societal. I don't know because I find it really interesting. Like I know it can be done, of course.
Mm,
Like
mm.
it's not anything. It's not the be all and end all. It's nothing. But there's something about that, and as you say, like getting ready
Yeah.
for your wedding, and it's almost that rite of passage of having a champagne in your
Yeah. Well, it's all
hand.
conditioning, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas for somebody who doesn't drink, like it's not even an issue. They're just like, well, I just wouldn't have, I'd have an orange juice. Like it's really normal. And I think as well, having had both experiences, a wedding where I was drinking and a wedding where I was sober, I know that I would choose the sober version
yeah. Of course,
every single
of
time
course.
because of the connection that I have
Yeah,
being present in that
yeah,
moment, remembering every
yeah.
moment, and just having like huge waves of gratitude wash over me throughout the day. And that was, even though I think I'll always think there's a part of my brain that'd be like, oh, champagne would be nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's just maybe not forever, but that, a natural reflex. I drank for 20 years. I've
yeah.
been sober for almost 6. Like it's still
I think you're in
far outweighs.
fairyland if you think that that's not
Mm,
going to cross your mind or like
totally.
that's been my experience as
Yeah.
well, and it can come up at the funniest times, and it's
Yeah.
not an obsession, but
No.
that's that thought.
And it's definitely not something that, like, there was no part of me that was upset about
Yeah,
it or
yeah,
had
yeah,
FOMO or was like,
yeah,
oh, this sucks or it's not fair. Like, why do I have to be an alcoholic? None
yeah,
of that. In fact, I was actually like, how fucking cool that I get to do this
yeah,
stone cold sober, that my partner is stone cold
yeah.
sober. And yeah, I'm going to remember every single moment of this day.
It's so funny because that to me, because I had a period of dry drunk in inverted commas, that is how my brain would have been.
Mm.
Oh, this is like shit. Like, why me?
Yeah.
Why am I missing out on things? And I did do that at that
Mm.
time.
Mm.
It's so different in this recovery, not being in that. Like, how quickly for me I can go into like the gratitude. Like,
Mm.
it's not really even a thought if stuff like that comes up. It's literally like this thing that just flutters past your brain
Mm.
because it's so used to it.
But this is also a credit to you and the work that you've done, because I've seen you show up for your recovery every single day. You have written a gratitude list every single day for how many days now? Like 3.5 years?
1,000. Yeah, it was 3.5 years yesterday. Yeah, yeah, I know.
That's
Crazy, isn't it?
amazing.
So true. I do have a sponsee. As you know, I work a 12-step program, and I sponsor other women, and I have a sponsee that if I ever miss my gratitudes, which has probably happened maybe 3 times, she will reach out to me and go, "Are you okay?" And
Mm.
it would just purely be because I've like slept in or like something. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
But I do. And I've been through a journey with that as well, where it became a tick
Yeah.
box ticking exercise. Couldn't
I'm
get
with
that
you.
out. And, because I had to do it and it was just a habit. And then I had to retrain myself to be, no, sit. What are you grateful for?
To feel it
To
rather than
feel
just
it.
get it.
Yeah, because like that has been such a life-changing thing for me.
Well, it's
Gratitude.
completely rewired the
Yeah.
way you perceive life.
Yeah, the world. Yeah.
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 Gone from, everybody's out to get me and everyone's to blame to everyone is just living the best life that they can and how beautiful is it?
So good.
Mm.
Okay, let's talk about your photo.
Okay. Podcast.
Gabs, I've asked you to bring in a photo today from a time in your life where you were
Yeah.
hiding behind a smile. So you were presenting one version of yourself to the external world, but internally you were struggling. Can you please describe for our listeners the photo that I'm bringing up on the screen right now? What are we looking at here? And what was actually going on for you at that time in your life?
So firstly, I want to talk about the photos because I've been a day one follower of your potty. I have to say congratulations on all the work you've done. Like
Thank you.
watching you take this and what it's become has been amazing. Like I love you. It's brilliant, and I do wish, I often say this, that I had something like this to listen to before I came in to help break that stigma and break that fear. But because of that, I have had a lot of time to think about if I was ever to go on Ash's podcast, what photo would I choose?
Like we said at the top, this is
Oh,
long overdue.
oh. So, and I spoke to you about this. I have one photo that isn't this photo that I look at and it breaks my heart. But it also has people in it that even if we blurred them out, that time, I just didn't want to put it out to the world because
I
I just
understand
think
that.
I don't know, I think if that was to be investigated a little bit by my family or whatever, it would potentially, it would upset them, and not in a way of like them being angry at me, but like shit. And I just didn't want to bring that out into the public.
Mm.
So I found a whole heap of old photos, and the one that I've picked is I'm about 25.
I was going to say it's baby Gab.
25.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing because I'm like, God, I look better than what I look.
Okay, firstly, no, that's not true. But also, a lot younger.
No. Anyway, I don't really. But I'm in Hawaii
Mm.
and there's so much behind this photo. So I've got a drink in my hand, I've got a cocktail in my hand, and I'm glazed over. You can see I'm not trying to smile, and I got the straw in, and I can remember, I don't remember that moment in time, but I know what would have happened. Like I was over there with a partner at the time. I was in a terrible relationship, a relationship I did not want to be in, that had come to fruition. And like this poor guy, I didn't even like him. He didn't like me. We had nothing in common. It was just it was awful. It was an awful relationship. So I knew, like, even looking at that, I'm like, I know what would have happened without remembering what happened. I would have got absolutely smashed. We would have had a huge fight. I would have told him to go F himself, that I hated him, in the middle of this beautiful place in Hawaii. And I was so, so unhappy. And my depression, even being in that most beautiful place, and I've talked about this before, but I had my first spiritual experience in Hawaii on the Big Island riding a bike between the rainforest and the hard lava on the way up to the, I was about to call it fireworks, volcano.
I get you.
Fireworks,
Yep.
the volcano. And I had this, this real spiritual experience. The wind was blowing. But yeah, that photo, like, I was so, I hated myself. I just hated myself. And I just couldn't work out. My friends were getting married at that time. It was sort of had started. A few of them had had babies. I'd got myself into this relationship that I thought I couldn't get out of. But I wanted to be in a place where society had told me, like, I'd finished uni, I was on this beautiful trip, I was working a good job, I had a partner, and it was just, it was not what I thought it would be.
Mm.
And yeah, it was just this beautiful holiday, but inside, all I wanted to do was I was drunk the whole time. I was drunk the whole time.
And we have such a permission slip to drink like that on holidays,
Yeah,
don't you think?
yeah,
I was exactly the same. I did some serious damage in Hawaii.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Following the bars and yeah, I mean, I didn't even want a partner there. It was all for show. It was like I'm going on a holiday, a beautiful holiday to Hawaii with my partner, but he didn't need to be there. I just needed to have a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I look at that and part of, my healing journey, which, it has been this like grief of past life because I came into this recovery at 39 and I sort of woke up and I was like, where's the last 20 years gone? Bad relationships, shitty situations I put myself in, broken friendships, all the stuff. But on paper, I looked like I had the most amazing life, I worked for great companies. I got to travel the world, it was just,
And you
it
were
was so
probably,
for show.
yeah.
Everything was for show because all I wanted to do was look successful
Mm.
and I wanted to look like I had my shit together and my ego really wanted that. And I also felt so I never felt like I fit in with anyone. My entire life, I never felt. I was told in a job once, like, you are a square peg in a round hole. And that was the first time I'd ever heard that. And I was like, that's me in my life. Like, I don't know how to be that round peg. I don't know how to do that. And in turn, that just was just this vicious cycle of hating myself because and it was all about why didn't people like me? Why didn't people pick me? Why didn't people want me?
Do you think that was actually true or do you think that was your perception of things?
I think it was because I was looking for validation from the wrong people and the wrong things. And my whole life had been like success to me was you go to uni, you get a good job, you get a husband that has cash. And this is of no fault of my family or how I was brought up, but it's just how it was. You have a good car, you buy a house, like all those societal checkpoints.
Equals
You get
happiness.
married. Yeah, you
Yeah.
get married. You have kids. And I thought I was striving for that. Everything I was doing in my life, everything was for someone else. It was never for me. Never. Never. But I convinced myself that it was.
Yeah. Can you tell me more about little Gabby? When did you first get exposed to any sort of drug or substance?
Well, I grew up with a medical parents. Doctor as a dad and nurse as a mum. And I only ever knew medicine. I only ever knew medications. Like we would have a big medicine cabinet at home. Every ailment, mental or physical, was treated with a drug. And that's all I knew and that's all I ever know. And I was a very stressed and anxious child. And I don't know if you know this term and I can never say it, but it was like trichotillomania. Like I was pulling my eyelashes out at a super young age because I was so anxious, trichotillomania or something like that. I didn't know what that was called until in my 30s when a psychologist said to me, oh, that's a stress response. So
why do you think you were stressed at such a young age?
So it's a good question. I was the youngest of 3 children. My brother and sister were both adopted at birth or a very, very early age. My sister's nearly 9 years older than me. My brother's 5 years older than me. and they're both from Asian descent. Now, I know nothing different about them. They're my brother and sister through and through. I love them to bits. We have a beautiful, colourful family. But I was this miracle child. And my parents didn't think they could have children. And then my mum got pregnant. And I I came out, and so my mum had experience, my mum and dad had experience with these placid Asian kids. And I'm sorry if that, like, I don't know what the appropriate thing is to say Asian kids, because that's their heritage, that's their background. And then I came out and I was my dad through and through. And my dad's a born and bred, Belfast boy. And I actually came out and I was under anesthetic, funnily enough.
Oh, wow.
So this was in the 80s. My mum had a C-section and I was under anesthetic still when I was born. So I have heard stories that mum didn't get to hold me straight away either. And I know there's stuff about that. But yeah, I was really sick. I was a colicky baby. I was just I was this gift from God. I was this miracle child, but I was also so different. And, I was loud and I was out there and like from very young age. And, I just had this stress and anxiety because I felt like I didn't fit in already. And I
Mm.
didn't have that because there was such an age gap as well. I think I have a lot of memories with my brother, a lot of memories and a lot of fun memories with my brother, but also a lot of memories where my brother was really my protector in the family home, and there was no violence, there's nothing like that. I had a really beautiful childhood, but he was just he was my confidant, he was my person,
Mm.
and that makes me super emotional because my brother is very different to me. Again, like I'm very out there. I talk about things. I'm all about breaking the stigma, and it's what I love about this show because I was definitely brought up where the family secrets are kept within the family,
Mm.
and we don't talk about emotions at all, and like is no one's fault. It's just no one's fault. And it's just the way it was. It was the 80s for crying out loud. Like it
Mm.
was the 80s. So my stress and my anxiety, it probably came from a number of things. I think realistically, it was just that I never, like we talk about in the rooms, like being born an alcoholic, and I believe that. I believe that. I believe that I was, I came into this world and I was asleep. I was already drugged up. What does that say? Like, come on, baby, let's
Yeah.
go. Like
Yeah.
the most traumatic experience of your life, and I was under. So
Totally.
I was medicated from a really, really young age
When did
because
you start drinking?
12.
Yeah.
I started drinking at
Was
12.
that at boarding school?
No, it was before boarding school. Boarding school was my first geographical.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So, as I said, like, we didn't have a psychologist in a small country town as well, nor would that have been a thing to go to a psychologist or to go through that process. It was just like, look, here's some medicine and this will help. And that was just sort of what I knew, even, at a really, really young age. Was I obsessive and stuff about it then? I don't think so, but I also do have really strong memories of being really highly anxious and wanting to make sure that I had like Xanax or a Valium in my bag, like that gave me comfort. So it wasn't that it was like, oh, I'm going to take it, but it was like this comfort of like this substance being there.
Just
Um,
in case.
and it was completely not like maybe not normal for like a young kid, but normal for that time to take those medications for that, but never finding out what the actual underlying was of that.
Mm.
And I remember having a conversation with mum and dad in recent years, like maybe in the last 20 years, and I remember mum saying, we think something happened to you at school with a teacher. And I was like, I just don't remember. I just don't remember. But I do, and they thought it was the principal. And I was like, no, I always liked him. He was always really kind and soft. But I did have this prep teacher that was scared me a lot. But I was also very, very anxious attached. I was really attached to my mum. Like I have memories, and like they laugh about this, but I have memories like dropping me off to school was a nightmare.
Mm.
Like I did not want to go. I did not want to leave my mum. I was so attached to my mum. I was so scared to leave her. She was such a safety for me. So yeah, I just didn't feel right in the world from such a young age. I didn't feel safe in the world. from such a young age.
Mm.
And medication helped me with that along the way. Like I was on my first antidepressant at 12, 13,
Wow.
and that was the right sort of thing to do at that time.
Yeah. And so you just mentioned you did your first geographical.
Eh,
Yeah.
14,
So where did you go?
to boarding school.
What's a geographical for those who don't know?
So that's when you try and run away from yourself, but obviously you take yourself with you. But I, yeah, had my first drunk at 12. I was a blackout drinker from the very first time it hit my lips. I had no off switch from the very, very beginning. Didn't know what any of that meant, but it was at a girlfriend's house. Her older sister was having a party with all her girlfriends, was out on a big farm. I remember one of them pouring a vodka blue Curacao out for me, and then the next thing you know, lying in a horse paddock and then being in the bedroom and vomiting all night, and my friend's mum just was laying with me and I'm just crying and screaming her name. And then the next day, mum, I think I've told mum this since, but mum came to pick us up, and I remember my friend's mum saying, oh, they got really bad food poisoning. It's just like shit. Yeah, and then that was just like that was the norm. Like I grew up in a small country town. Footy and netball were a huge thing. So it just became like every weekend it was we'd play netball, go to footy, drink at the footy,
Mm.
and then go to the footy sheds, and that just became a thing that I would look forward to,
Mm.
and just escape out of self, and it gave me that whole confidence and power to do things that I just didn't feel comfortable doing.
Mm. Mm. Did you think you had a problem at the time?
Of course not.
Mm.
No, not at all. And like I was really academic at school. I was really sporty. I was super sporty, and netball and basketball my life for a long time. And I ended up being vice captain at my school and sports captain of my year in year 9, because we had split schools, so 7 to 9 and then 10 to 12. And once I started to get I wouldn't say shit at sport, but I started to not perform as well as my peers that were really excelling in sport. And I was like, okay, well, that's sort of not for me anymore. I've sort of outgrown that. And then the academic side was very much like frowned upon. I didn't want to be a nerd. And then I just sort of fell in this group of like, we're going to go and smoke on the oval, and like sort of the misfits I
Mm.
felt comfortable with. And that was in year 9. So I had all this sort of responsibility with school. I was doing well. It was almost like halfway through year 9 here, teen hormones, all that sort of stuff. And I just didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to go out on the weekends with my friends. Like I'd sneak out. My parents were really strict as well. And I always had this like resentment for them because I was hanging out with these kids that like they were allowed to do anything. Their parents would buy them booze, like cigarettes. I'd sit outside and smoke with some of my friends' parents, and I
Mm.
thought that was so cool. And I was like, why are my parents not like this? I hate you. It's because you're too old. Because my mum had me at 37. And at that
Mm.
time, that was so old,
Mm.
it was like way past. And so I really, really despise my parents for that. And then that spiraled into I met a boy that I just loved who was a couple of years older than me. He was a massive weed smoker, and weed was never a thing for me, but I just like idolized him and I idolized his friends. Next thing you know, I've like packed my bags from home and stormed out and moved into his like halfway house
Oh,
with him and his two friends at 14.
14?
At 14, like the doctor's daughter of the town, like
Oh my
going around,
God.
like just, and it was all a big middle finger to my parents,
Mm.
all of it. And by then, my brother and sister had left, like they'd left home doing their thing. And there's also a big chunk of this, which, like, I'll just mention my eldest nephew was born when I was 12 as well. And my sister was 20. And there's a whole heap of stuff around that sort of impacted my life at that time as well, which is where really the drinking started escalating as well. But yeah, I just sort of stuck the middle finger up to mum and dad and did this. And then they invited me over for dinner one night, and they locked me in the house, and they said, and I remember being stoned when I came in, and my dad looked at me. He's like, oh,
Mm.
and like, I'm so not a stoner. Like each their own, do whatever you want to do if you can do that. But I was just doing it because the cool kids were doing it, and I didn't want it anyway. So they sat me down, and all three of us kids had been booked in to go to Geelong Grammar at birth, and my brother and sister never went. And my parents sat me down, my dad sat me down that night and said, we're going to send you to boarding school. And I remember crying and I just said, yes, yes. And they said, well, you've got a spot at Geelong Grammar. And I said, I don't want to go that far. And they're like, okay, well, we can look at somewhere else. And I ended up going to Ballarat Grammar at start of year 10. Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted, and at that time I'd been punched in the face by this girl down the street, and I dropped out of school and had this counselling session with my mum and all this stuff. So I knew I needed to get away. I just didn't know how. And this was like an opening to be like, just remove everything away from me. And off I went.
And what happened when you got there? Did it escalate? Like, were you able to hide it more, or were you like, I get better get my shit together now?
It's really interesting to talk about boarding school today, like, because the boarding school I went to has been in the news a lot in the last couple of months. And it's about hazing and bullying within the boarding houses and stuff like that. And there was a news link that was sent to me 2 days ago where the boarding school has been told they're not allowed to take boarders in until they get their safety measures right. And this has brought up a lot of stuff. And I actually sent it to a group. We still sort of have like a random group chat. We don't really talk anymore, but I sent it off to the group, and because there'd been a few things that had been sent back and forward about this. And one of the girls was like, geez, it was so normal for us. It was so normal. And it was, but it wasn't.
What are we
Like,
talking about?
it can be like the hazing and the bullying. So I think it can be normal in the fact that it happens to everyone and we know it happened. Like, this is
Like
for us. I'm only talking
older
my
kids?
experience. Older kids and kids my age.
Okay.
So when I came into the boarding house, I was so badly bullied. I was so badly bullied because I came in at year 10 and the girls had already, and I'd come in, I actually had a term at my old school. So I came in at second term, year 10. So yeah, they all had their cliques and I'd come in as this country girl trying to fit in. I'd been on an induction tour, so I sort of knew what they wore. I went and bought the same shoes that they had and the jeans and stuff like that, and I was just trying to fit in, and it was awful. And then a year later, our house captain took her own life.
Mm.
So I have really mixed emotions about that school and the bullying, like the hazing into year 12, that all happens. Like, they talk about the nudie swims in the lake and stuff. This is part of the court cases going on at the moment. But like swimming naked in lake, being told to strip down, stuff like, we did all of that. And like, did I want to do that? Of course I didn't. But was I not going to do that? No. Like, no way in hell. Like, I wanted to fit in so desperately.
Mm.
And it was so prided upon to do that stuff, and it was just a rite of passage that stuff was done. And yeah, so I have mixed feelings about that school and my experience there. My drinking was out of control there. Like, that was just, we did that very regularly. Like, we used to drink passion pop and put them in the sanitary bins, before we went to the dance and stuff. But I never could just have a few. It was always like I was always the one being carried to bed or whatever it was. And look, that's when I had my first experience with other party drugs.
Yeah. What?
Because I was at a party once and I was like, I hate like having to drink all the time. I hate having to drink, and I wish there was just a pill that I could take. And someone literally said to me, "Oh my God, have you tried this? Do you want to try this?" And
Was
that
it
just,
ecstasy?
yeah, that just escalated that part of my life, because it's like I had found something. So I still drinking really heavily, but I'd found this other miracle, I guess, of like, I can take this and I can still be in control. And I can be happy, and I can be, yeah, the control thing was a huge one. Like, I could use my body and I could speak my words and I could do those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, how were you managing to still perform at school, party on the weekends, keep your parents at bay? Like, did you feel like you were wearing different masks? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of toll did that take? And what was going on with your mental health? Were you still being medicated for depression?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. My mental health was shot. I don't remember, other than now, and I am still medicated now, but I'm on a different medication now. I've had like proper psychiatric, gone through that when I went to South Pacific. But my mental health, as long as I can remember, anxiety and depression, like, I was so, so depressed. I think when Sally, our house captain who took her own life, did that, I think that changed something in my chemistry about depression and suicide. I'd had my first suicide attempt at 13, 14, before this happened. And I think going through that process and seeing her family and what they did to people in our community, and it really opened my eyes to the after effect of what happens. But I also have such an understanding around and compassion for people that get to that point, and that happens, and that's what they do. Like for me, my suicide attempts throughout my life have always been to just stop the pain, to just escape the life that I was currently in, or the life stage I was in, or just that point in time. I just wanted in that point of time for everything to stop. So it wasn't that. I remember the first time someone saying to me, "You don't want to die, you just don't want to live how you're living anymore." And I just was like, "Whoa, that is so true." Mm.
So did you end up finishing school?
Funnily enough, it's a great question, because if I hadn't have gone to boarding school, I don't think I would have finished school, finished year 12, but I did. And I did relatively well. And I was really excited for the next move to come to Melbourne.
Was that always the plan?
Oh, yeah, just again, another escape. Like, I want to find my people. I want to find where I fit in. Like, I'm all ready to go. Big city. Here I come.
Mm.
So I was straight. I moved in with one of my mates from home, and I was straight up there at 17. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
young, isn't it?
Yeah. I know, it's crazy. And when you think you know everything, and blows my mind. But yeah, 17, I was like,
So you arrive in Melbourne.
yep. Arrive in Melbourne. The other thing that is really funny is I'd done this career survey that they do in year 12. And my first thing that came up for me was become an actor. And of course, that's not what you do. Like, not that I ever think I would have gone down the acting path, but like my personality, whatever. And what I ended up going into is like I really wanted to do something creative. I wanted to do arts, but in my home, or like even in society, it was like, don't do an arts degree. What's an arts degree going to get you? Like, what a waste of time.
Again, it's that perception, doing things for others,
Yeah.
external validation.
Yeah. So it was before we had computers and stuff for graphic design. It was very much hands-on and storyboarding out. But I was like, okay, what's a commercial opportunity for a creative? Advertising. I'll look at advertising. And I looked at the degree in advertising at RMIT, and it was all drawing and like that real, I guess, it's creativity, but creativity in that way, drawing out things or writing. You're either a copywriter or an art director. And I didn't feel like I fit into either of those things. But there was an advanced dip of business advertising for 2 years. And I was like, I'll go and do that. And that's where I ended up. And I was working, and I arrived in Melbourne, and straight away I found the rave scene. And I had friends that were hardcore ravers, with the full flare pants and the talcum powder on the floor, and all that sort of stuff. And I loved it. I really envied them. I felt like I never became a raver like that, because I always felt like there was a judgment, and that was me judging them as well. Like, but that is really what I wanted to be. That's where I felt at home, like in those dark, dingy clubs where you could just dance the night away. And I was still drinking a lot as well. Like I was doing party drugs, but alcohol was still always my drug of choice in those sort of situations. And I think again it was judgment. It's like I don't do drugs like they do. I don't do this. Like it was all about I'm better than. I'm better than.
What about relationships at this time? Had you got a boyfriend yet?
So I've been blowing up relationships because of booze since my teens. I met a guy, I think I've sort of told you this story, but I thought it's like sort of the one that got away. I met this beautiful guy from home that went to a different high school to me, and we connected when we moved to Melbourne. And what ended up happening, long story short, is I went out one night, got smashed drunk, kissed his housemate, and it was all over.
Yep.
And
As you do.
and I was devastated about that. I was absolutely devastated. But I met my first long-term partner through the friend I went to Fridays with actually at 18. And we were together for, let's say, around 5 years. He was a really bad gambling addict, like huge gambling addict, and I wanted to rescue him. He was my first love. I think he was my first. I often think about, have I ever been in love? I do think I was in love with him, and I think he was in love with me. But, I was trying to fix him even at that time. I was like,
Which we often do when we don't want to look at our own stuff. We find other people to put our attention on so that we don't have to realize that maybe we're the ones that need fixing.
yeah. And I remember looking up GA for him and like sending him to GA meetings, but he wasn't going to GA meetings. He was going down to the pub to gamble. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I had that. And then I fell into, after that, we broke up. Because he wanted the white picket fence. He's had a family owned business. I didn't want any of that. I wanted to travel. I'd already gone overseas. And I was like, there's more to life. And we broke up. And then I fell into this toxic relationship. The guy I went to Hawaii with, that was just 2.5 years of hell, of just hating. It made me hate myself more.
Mm.
And then he ended up having an affair. He cheated on me with his boss, who he's now married to. But yeah, it was this cycle, and then I met another partner. I was always about that. And I had lots of oh, yuck. But then I met my last long-term partner, who was an Irishman, who, this is so horrendous, we're going to tell you anyway. I met him at an afters on a Sunday at a pub down in St Kilda. And he said to me, "Do you give good blowjobs?" And I thought,
Charming.
I love you. Like, he's easy. He's easy because I can use sex to manipulate him. Like, I wasn't thinking that out consciously at the time, but I was like,
Your default. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I can
Was he the one that proposed?
No. But what happened there was that was such a weird time, because it wasn't like a proposal down on one knee, anything like that. We were sitting at this restaurant in St Kilda, and we were really going through it. And it was like, what do we do next? And he's like, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I think we should get married. And I was like, okay. And there was a ring, and it was like, have this for now and we'll work it out. And it was literally within, I reckon, 24 hours that I ended the relationship.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that?
I said, yeah, I was like, yes, I think that's what we should do. And I went away, and I just knew he was grasping. I knew we were over. I knew there'd stuff that had happened. He went to Thailand. I think he hooked up with someone. There was all this stuff going on. And I think it was just both of us going like, we need to do something now to progress our relationship. We need to move to that next level. It will make things better.
Which is so common when you're not awake, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I remember doing that in there's so many relationships that just kind of continued, like we just kind of kept ticking boxes.
Yeah.
And for me, it was always like, well, let's move in together.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on a minute. Do you even like each other? Like, when you remove the lust, when you remove the initial attraction, are you actually compatible?
Yeah.
And then
I was really quick to move in with partners.
Yeah,
Really quick to do that.
And then so many people then just have a baby.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, now you're attached to this person for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, again, I'm not blaming people. I just think it's like this conditioning. It's the societal norm. It's really interesting. Like, I'm going down a bit of a rabbit hole. I've been on a similar journey with whether or not I want to have a baby.
Yeah.
And I get served all of this pro-child-free stuff on TikTok.
Yep.
Which is really helpful, actually, because I think that you hear so many people say all the reasons why, it's the best thing you'll ever do and it's a love like no other and so on and so forth, whereas I don't know as many people who have chosen not to have children. So I do appreciate having that platform that I can listen into. But in that, one of the things that has been really interesting is that what's come to my attention now is that there's kind of like this age where people just do it. And they do it because that's what they think they should do at sort of that mid-20s to mid-30s. And then once you pass your mid-30s, you actually, I wouldn't know what the statistics are, but it's like a huge number of women actually go, oh, hang on a minute, I've got a choice here.
Yeah.
I don't actually have to if I don't want to. And do I actually want to? Whereas I think for most people, many people know they want to be mums, and that's fantastic and good on you. And I'm like, do what's right for you. But it's really interesting, like, whether or not people would make a different decision if they had just waited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so much in that. I don't want to jump ahead to it, but
No?
I've got a huge, story around that, because when I ended up in rehab at 39, it was a sliding doors, because I was on the path. I had a sperm donor. I was like, I'm going to have a baby on my own. And instead of going into hospital to be inseminated, I ended up in rehab. And I am so grateful for that today. Like, did I grieve that? Absolutely. Because I was like, maybe I'd have a child now. But would that child be in a stable, loving, safe home? Hell no. Loving maybe, but like, I'm still learning to love myself.
And it would have been the baby. The baby would have been, oh, this will fix me.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. This is what I need to do.
Yeah, this is the
what I need to do.
unconditional love that I've been searching for, which is so not fair on a child.
No, not at all. And even you say about the what you get served on TikTok, like, for me, the confusion of that stuff and the absolute, like, sometimes I feel like, and this is my own fault because I'm a addicted scroller and like the algorithm loves me, but the overload of information on all things, like for me, perimenopause, menopause, pro child free, all that stuff. Like ADHD is a huge one that comes up for me, recovery, of course, but there's so much information. And it's like, I've come out the other side now, but I've had a year of like going back to like, what the fuck is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Is it the ADHD? Do I have autism? Like, people that get diagnosed with ADHD are so quick to point to me, you have ADHD, you have ADHD. And that makes a lot of sense to me, because it makes a lot of sense to me as a child. Have I been diagnosed formally? No. Do I want to? Potentially in the future. But what I've also realized is, even if I get that diagnosis and I have that label, yeah, there's medication options. That's a whole nother kettle of fish for someone like me who was addicted to amphetamines. But also, like, I have to be able to change behaviors and change the way that I live and build better tools like I have in recovery to live with it, that disease or mental health disease or whatever it is. But like with the perimenopause stuff, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, I definitely have this, and this. And like, I've had to just go, just fucking like treat the symptoms if they come up, but like stop trying to box yourself into a hole, because it's too overwhelming.
So where are you at now with the baby stuff? We haven't spoken about it for a while.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I know that about a year and a half ago, I had this overwhelming sense of, for the first time, it's like, I want to be a mother. I really want to be a mother. Whether that's by having a baby I'm not like wedded to that. I don't feel like that is what has.
It doesn't have to be your biological child.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that I get pregnant and have a baby to be a mother. I have my eggs are frozen. I froze my eggs at 37 during COVID. And I still laugh at that because, no one knew what was going to happen in COVID, but I remember having to do that on my own, and the nurse saying to me, most people that freeze their eggs will be pregnant in the next 2 years. And like, if we
that was not me.
yeah. And it's also like, if we had have thought that maybe the world would be open and COVID wouldn't have been what it had been, who knows? But that was the start of lockdown. And, we're in lockdown really for nearly 3 years. We still have some normalcy now, but it's so different, and the dating scope's so different. And so, and my eggs at 37, like, really, God knows what quality they are, and they can't test that. And I didn't get them fertilized. And like I say to anyone that is thinking about freezing their eggs, and I know you've done the same, but for me, before it was even a thing, and I didn't know anyone that had frozen their eggs, at about 34, I don't even know how I'd heard about it, but I was like, I'm going to do this. And I then must have put it out to the universe. I must have told people about it or told someone. And then I got there, well, if you're going to do that, you should get them fertilized. And if you're going to fertilize them, you may as well get them inseminated. And why don't you have a baby now? And why wouldn't you have a baby now? And it was so overwhelming that I was like, no, not doing it, not doing it. And do I regret that? Regret's a strong word. I wish I had have done it earlier, but it wasn't meant to be. Yeah. So I do have them on ice, whether or not I use them. Whether or not I donate them, whatever that happens, I don't know. But yeah, in regards to what I'm going to do about, like, look, ultimately, I would love to meet someone and have a child. I would love that. Of course I would. But I'm 42 and, I'm very open to meeting someone, like meeting a partner that has kids as well. Like, that was something when I came into recovery, I was like, no way, no way.
Yeah.
I'm not taking on someone else's
I
kids.
could so see you being the best stepmom.
Like, I could not think of anything worse.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's a beautiful thing. And like, I have friends that are single parents and are back out in the dating game and all that sort of stuff. And I just think good on you. It doesn't change that person. Like, I want to fall in love with that person. If you have kids or not, then that's something that we tackle as if that ever, look, I'm not even dating really. So like, it's
Well,
just,
that's the next thing I wanted to ask you. And this is the last thing that we're going to cover on this part of the
okay.
episode. We're going to come back for part 2 because we've got a whole lot more to cover.
I was just saying I feel really awful, Ash. Sorry, I've talked so much.
Not at all. This is fascinating. It's so important for people to be able to hear the reality
Yeah.
of somebody's life.
Yeah.
Where are you at now with the dating? Because you've obviously said that, prior to getting sober, your dating patterns weren't super healthy.
Oh,
I was the same. Where are you at now with all of that?
I mean, mum and dad turn off now. But when I was in active addiction, like I had a Tinder profile and it was like, I love sex and white bags. Like, I was crazy. I was crazy. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry for anyone that knows me that's listening to that, but that's the truth. Lots of people in the rooms know that stuff, but that is the truth. Like, I did not care about myself.
Yeah.
I
And that's,
did not care about
I
myself.
feel sad for that girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not to slut shame myself. It's just that I just did not care. I got a dopamine hit from it. And to be honest, all I wanted was the drugs. I didn't want the sex. I just wanted the drugs. And I knew that if I put that out there on a platform like Tinder, that I was going to get that. And I did.
Mm.
I did. It's manipulated. It's basically sex work without the sex work term. And like,
Yeah.
that's a huge thing. I've not shared that out loud at all. Like, that's a huge thing for me to share out loud. But that's how I was. So yes, I attracted not very nice humans into my life. And, before I went into rehab, I was dating, very loosely say that word dating. I was frolicking around with a drug dealer DJ that I thought was the best thing ever. So my dating now, I've done a lot of growth and healing around body safety has been a huge one for me. The food stuff's a big one, but the body safety, I've found it right now. I am so content and in love with my life that I have a huge fear of bringing someone into it because I don't want my bubble to be disrupted. Um, and I don't think I'm alone. I think whether you're in recovery or not, I don't think I'm alone in that. I think at the moment I see a lot of that. And again, whether the algorithm just feeds me that stuff, but there's, women are self-sufficient. They earn good coin. They feel confident. Their standards are higher. So they don't want to interrupt that with something that's less than. And
And nor should you.
yeah, but I also do feel like that, especially if when I'm getting fed that in the algorithm, I'm like, yeah, power to us, power to the women. But it does bring a negative connotation of like, all men are something's gonna
Sure.
happen, and that's also CPTSD from active days when that happened.
Yeah.
Men came into my life, and it was chaos, and I was causing them chaos, but they were causing me chaos, and we were on that journey together, on that hamster wheel.
But do you get to see now there's evidence in your life that relationships can look different in sobriety and in recovery?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and you went through this journey with me. I fell in love in my first year of recovery. Like, I thought I was madly, deeply in love with a guy who is still a really great friend of mine today. But it was the first time I'd actually had some sort of emotional connection. And it wasn't even a super, like, it was a bit of a trauma bond because you come into the rooms, if you're in a 12-step program, you meet so many people that have stories like you and you really connect. And it was the first time that I had a guy be nice to me and it wasn't sexually related, because there is this sort of unwritten rule in the rooms that you wait 12 months and you let the newcomer grow and they do the steps and stuff like that. And this person, was very strong on that and strong on boundaries. And so he was nice to me. There was never anything about like, I'll be nice to you if you sleep with me or whatever that is. so I fell head over heels, and what I've since learned as well is like I was addicted to the fantasy
Mm.
of like I have met this person, and like I know I had a rehab relationship as well, which loosely again relationship wasn't a relationship. I fell in love. I thought I fell in love in rehab. Something I always say when I go back into rehabs is you're not in love. This is not your person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally you've been stripped of your substances and your body is crying out for something.
Searching for
It's
anything to give
searching
you
for
that hit.
anything, and that chemistry feeling and that intense electricity that you're feeling is danger. It's not like God telling you that this
Butterflies
is
or anxiety.
this is
Walk
like
away.
yeah, this is like the red flag. This isn't the green flag that this
Mm,
person is for you. But I had to learn that, right? And
totally.
yeah, so I fell in love. I had this fantasy, and we tried to date at 1 year. It was like 2 days before my 1 year. I texted him and said, "What would you do if I told you I wanted to kiss you?" And he was like, I don't know. I have to talk to my sponsor." And then we tried, and we said, like, if this jeopardizes our friendship, we're going to pull the pin. And just was not right. Like, I wasn't ready. He was, even though he was a few years older than me in sobriety, he wasn't ready either. It brought up, like, they talk about, I sort of hate using the word triggers now, but it is a good word to use because people get it. But it triggered my anxious attachment in me, and it triggered his avoidant attachment in him. And then, like, what do? You're repelling off each other. So, after a couple of months, and we were lucky again, I'm oversharing here, we didn't sleep together. I was really grateful for that because we didn't have that then next level
Confusion.
of
Yeah.
confusion and
Yeah.
hormones and all that sort of stuff. And I'm really, really grateful for that because I think that's what's allowed us to still be friends today.
Mm.
But yeah, I just remember we ended up having a conversation, and it was like we said, if it was going to wreck the friendship, that we're not going to go down this path. And then by the end of it, we were laughing again like we were before we'd started to try to date.
Which is such a different experience to what
Oh,
you had
crazy.
previously.
Crazy. It was my first adult breakup, and it wasn't even really a breakup. We hadn't
Mm.
even really been dating or anything like that, but it was like it was amicable, it was considered. It was
Mm.
like, okay. And then at the end we were laughing. It was like, oh, everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
Phew.
Wow. It just goes to show that you can learn to do life differently and you can
Mhm.
learn this at any age.
But that real fantasy I had and really believing that that was love was so strong and so powerful. Like it's again the mind playing tricks on you. Like even now, like I remember having a conversation with you maybe 6 months after that, and I was like, oh my God, I think I've made the wrong decision. And you're like, you've done the work. Put your ideal person in front of you, like visualize your ideal person because I'm very, very visual. Everything's very visual to me. And then visualize this person beside them. Is he your person? Is he your ideal person? And as a partner, I should say. And I was just like, no,
Mm.
it's not.
Mm.
And
Because
that
when
and
you,
then that was so quick to just
yeah,
like poof, just leave my zeitgeist. It's like, yeah, he's
take the
not my
emotion
person.
out of it. Yeah. Like literally make it quite
Yeah.
factual.
He'll be a friend for life, but he's not my partner. Yeah.
Mm. So to wrap up
Yeah.
this part one of our conversation,
Yeah.
open to calling in love, but
Yes.
not actively seeking.
I just feel like a lost, like I'm frolicking through the daisies and I don't know what to do.
Mm.
I'm
But
super, super open.
yeah,
I'm
but
super, super open, but I'm scared and I don't know how to go. I just don't know
love
what
it.
to do.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
how honest
Yeah.
you are about not having it all figured
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Like it's just so refreshing.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know what to do, but it just I know we're going to finish up, but this is the one thing about the talking about the TikTok algorithm, and I get fed a lot of people that are in their 40s and child free and happy, and for me, that's not me. Like I'm happy with my life, but I would love a partner to live life with and have adventures with. I would love to have some form of children and be a mother in my life. So yes, am I happy and child free and single? Yes, but am I happy because I'm child free and single? No, I'm happy because I stand in my integrity every day, and I look forward to getting up in the morning.
Mm.
So I think there's also a big gap around those influences or people that I get fed anyway,
Mm.
that there's this middle bit too where it's like people are genuinely, for me, I'm genuinely happy in my life, but I want these other things. And
Yes.
I don't want to be afraid to say that, like, I want that stuff.
Yeah. It's almost like we've become a little bit too cool girl where people are like,
Yeah.
well, I'm pro choice and I've made this decision and now I'm
Yeah.
just going to stand on my soapbox and everyone else should feel this way too. It's like, actually, no, you can be really honest and
Yeah.
say, I would love that. I don't have that right now,
Yeah.
and I would love to call that in, but I'm also going to trust that I'm on the path I'm meant to be on
Yeah.
right here, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I said, like it doesn't have to just be someone coming into recovery at 39 like I was. There's a lot of people that have that shift, like the divorce rate around your 40s, all those sorts of things. Women are having huge shifts in their life and starting again. And this is a big one for me.
Oh, Gabs, I'm excited. I'm excited for part 2. We're going to be talking about the period of your life where you weren't drinking, but you were taking a shit ton of drugs.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about your rock bottom going into rehab, and then we're going to talk about all of the incredible things that have come since you made that decision on the 4th of May, your sobriety day.
May the 4th.
Never forget that. Back in 2022. So guys, stay tuned for part 2. We'll be dropping that in a week's time. We say here on Behind the Smile that when we recover loudly, no one need suffer in silence. So Gabs, thank you for everything, and we'll be back for part 2.
Darling.